Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
It is 6:07 now on this busy Thursday morning. Thanks for starting your day with us. We'll give you all the news and all the stories and get you started the right way on O'Connor and Company. It's 6:35. 30 minutes from now, we're going to speak with Lucas Rand. He's running for the Republican nomination. Virginia 11, that special election, special primary this weekend. 7:05, Dan Schneider over at MRC. Talk about the latest developments in defunding NPR. Senate's on board right now. 7:35, Bethany Mandel, friend of the program, just came up on the winning side of a lawsuit against Montgomery County. 8:05, KT McFarland, and 8:35, Miranda Devine on her exclusive about ICE rescuing thousands of illegal immigrant children who have been exploited in this country because of the Biden administration's policies. Big story. It's Larry O'Connor alongside Julie Gunlock. Good morning, Jules.
Good morning.
All right, let's pick this story right up. As you know, again, the CIA is not. Basically, the bottom line is the leakers lied. The illegal leakers lied. And they knew what they were leaking was partial information. The media, CNN, Washington Post, New York Times, they knew that it was partial information. They knew it wasn't the whole story of the assessment. They knew that there was a lot more to come in. They're not stupid. They ran with the story with the glaring headlines, mission not accomplished. Looks like the Trump's own intelligence agencies say that they didn't do much damage in Iran, because that's the narrative they wanted. They couldn't let Trump have a great news cycle for more than 3 days in a row. Now that's getting blown apart. CNN is on its heels now. And the way they are trying to recover from this is hilarious. But let's first begin yesterday with poor Caitlin Collins. They send her on Air Force One to cover the NATO meeting. So she's representing CNN, and she wants to ask questions at the press conference. And when I say poor Caitlin Collins, trust me, I'm being sarcastic. My heart does not break for Caitlin Collins in any way whatsoever. But here's how Trump confronted her yesterday.
Oh, fake news, CNN? Oh, yeah, here we go. Wait till you hear this question. You should really say how great our soldiers and our warriors are.
I think everyone appreciates our soldiers and our warriors. I do have two questions for you, Mr. President. You just cited Israeli intelligence on these attacks. Earlier, you said U.S. intelligence was inconclusive. Are you relying on Israeli intelligence for your assessment of the impact of the strikes?
Can you pause that for a second? Pause that for a second. What an imbecile to even have to ask that question. Every single president since 1947 has relied on Israeli intelligence if we need to know something in the Middle East. Not entirely. It's not the only thing, but we rely on the Israelis. We rely on the Jordanians if they're friendly to us at the time. We rely on the British. We rely on foreign intelligence agencies all the time to better inform our own intelligence agency's assessment. That is the most. But do you understand how she's trying to paint this? Yeah. Oh, so you don't think our intelligence agencies got to the bottom of it? So now you're relying on a foreign intelligence, as if that's some scandal, as if that's some problem.
Right, and she's sort of implying, Israel's got, a lot in on this. So why would you rely on them? They're not exactly a neutral actor here, right? So why would you rely on them? Israel has some of the best intelligence agencies and officers in the world.
And if I may, let's play this out for a second. You be Caitlin Collins. I'll be your producer because I'll do the job that a producer is supposed to do. Oh, okay, Caitlin, you think that Israel's in on it, so you want to ask the President of the United States a question that will imply that Israel in some way has a vested interest in lying about the assessment in Iran, right? Okay, so let's play this out for a minute. If you're Israel, do you want to stop bombing Iran or do you want to keep bombing Iran?
You want to probably keep bombing Iran.
That's right. And so if you wanted to keep bombing Iran, what would you say about your assessment of the damage done by the United States to justify your continued bombing?
We didn't get it.
That's right. Hey, President Trump, you guys are great. Air Force is great. Your bunker busters are great. But damn it, you missed the target. So you're going to have to let us keep bombing. If Mossad really wanted to lie about this, they'd lie on the other side of this equation.
That's right.
They wouldn't lie to verify that the destruction was there. So, Caitlin, maybe don't make a fool of yourself and ask that question. But, of course, there is no producer at CNN who thinks like that, so let's move on.
Yes.
Donald Trump then took to Truth Social and said Natasha Bertrand should be fired from CNN. She's the reporter who got it wrong on the Hunter Biden laptop, got it wrong on Russian collusion, got it wrong on this. But she continues to serve a purpose. See, here's the thing. She is like a hand puppet. The people within the government who hate Trump and want to undermine his foreign policy so that they damage Donald Trump, they know that if they pick up the phone and call Natasha Bertrand, she'll run with their leak. She'll take it and she won't scrutinize it. She won't vet it. She won't ask questions. She'll take it to her bosses, and then her bosses will run with it. That's what happened at Politico, and that's what's happening in CNN right now. He went after Natasha Bertrand, said she should be fired, immediately reprimanded, and then thrown out like a dog. That's what he said in his Truth Social post. And then at the end, he said, her slant was so obviously negative. Besides, she doesn't have what it takes to be an on-camera correspondent, not even close.
Oh, don't know what that means.
But I'm guessing it has to do with her
looks.
No, I thought it had to do with her aptitude at reading a teleprompter.
Fine, maybe. But
Julie, you think it had to do with her appearance? That would be a low blow.
So unlike Trump. But I will say, Natasha Bertrand, she's won a Pulitzer. She's won several Emmys. Yeah. She's, been on Forbes 30 Under 30 list. She is the darling of the media and the darling of CNN. And I said this about, the Snow White actress who's now going on to ruin Sound of Music and many other wonderful classics. The left will always protect the vectors of whatever they want to spread or this disease, right? Yeah. And so that's part of this. Natasha Bertrand will be protected because she does exactly what honestly, she is a dark figure out there. So what she does is scary.
I get you. And so she got attacked by the president, and CNN immediately put out a statement protecting and defending their employee. And let me just say for a quick moment here. If you're in the media and one of your employees, one of the people who go on camera or do the reporting on your behalf, and you're responsible for making sure that what they say on the air meets your standards. And so if Natasha Bertrand for CNN got to go on the air and on the website of CNN.com and publish a story and broadcast a story, CNN has to own it. That's their job, okay? Because the vetting should have happened before they let the story out. So when a powerful person uses a powerful platform to attack your employee, I would expect CNN to defend their employee. I would. And good for them. If I worked for a big corporate media company and somebody with a big loud microphone was maligning me publicly and saying horrible things about me and undermining me, and I would want my company to put out a press release defending me and saying that they stand by the work that I do. That's the bare minimum. But then CNN did something else. They moved the goalposts in their statement. They actually undermined their own exclusive report by changing what the report actually was. I'm going to point that out to you. Jake Tapper did the same thing on the air yesterday, too. I'm going to point that out to you so you can see exactly what they're doing now by changing the report itself and their own so-called exclusive. Right. Yep. And it's a perfect tell that they know they got this story wrong. And I know this because this is exactly what they did with the Steele dossier as well. And that was Jake Tapper, too. We'll get to that in just a moment. It's 6:15.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
So the original report put out by CNN, this is how they promoted it on social media. CNN exclusive. Early U.S. intel suggests American strikes did not destroy Iran's nuclear sites and likely only set the program back by months, sources say. That was the report. If you ask anybody on the street, if you ask anybody who follows the news, hey, what was the CNN report about the intel after the military strike? They would say, oh, the report was that the intel says that it didn't really do the damage, right? That's what right. Trump's intelligence services said. It didn't really do much damage. Well, here's CNN's statement that they put out yesterday, supposedly defending Natasha Bertrand, right? We stand 100% behind Natasha Bertrand's journalism and specifically her and her colleagues' reporting of the early intelligence assessment of the U.S. attack on Iran's nuclear facilities. Okay, so it sounds like they think that story is valid. Absolutely true. You go down to the end of the statement. Here's the last paragraph. We do not believe it is reasonable to criticize CNN reporters for accurately reporting the existence of the assessment.
Oh.
wait a minute.
That's
wait
all
a
they
minute.
were doing. Was that all they were doing?
The existence of the assessment. That's what the report. So I'm sorry. The CNN report was exclusive. An assessment exists. There was a document created by someone in one of the 17 intelligence agencies that questioned whether the Iran nuclear program was obliterated. Is that what the report was? I don't think the report was just the existence of the assessment.
No. I mean, look at the headline.
Well, but no, see, that this is where they changed it. In fact, Jake Tapper did the same thing. He spent 10 minutes on this. And take a listen to cut 12 here, where, again, he says, all we're doing is reporting that this thing exists. That's newsworthy, isn't it? Here, listen.
But what about the entire nuclear program? Is it all gone? An initial intelligence assessment that said that the U.S. strikes did not destroy the core components of the country's nuclear program and likely only set it back by months. It is, of course, possible that at some point after more intelligence assessments are completed, the president's claims of total obliteration of the entire program could bear out to be true. But so much right now remains unknown. We still do not know what is underneath all the rubble at these bombed out sites. Has everything been completely destroyed? Now, CNN was first to report that one early DIA, or Defense Intelligence Agency, assessment suggested that the U.S. military strikes on Iran this weekend did not completely destroy the core components of Iran's nuclear program.
When James Comey briefed President-elect Donald Trump in January of 2017, about 2 weeks before the inauguration, when James Comey deliberately went to President-elect Trump and briefed him on the Steele dossier and all of the gory details, that, the Russians think that they claim that you colluded with them to win the election and steal the election. The Russians have compromise on you. They have videos of you with prostitutes in a Moscow hotel. Remember all of that in the Steele dossier?
Yes.
Julie, it was Jake Tapper who reported that story. Jake Tapper received a leak. It turns out now that the leak was delivered to him through James Comey.
Yep.
Through a friend of James Comey, that James Comey deliberately gave, right? Jake Tapper, or it could have been James Clapper also, that because he was still working in the Obama administration at that time. Jake Tapper reported that story breathlessly, that there is a dossier, that the FBI has it, that it has these details about what Donald Trump did, what Russia has on Donald Trump, that there's compromise in there. They went crazy. It was 10 days before inauguration, and it was everywhere. And it laid the groundwork for the Russian collusion investigation. It laid the groundwork for everything. Before the president was sworn in, Jake Tapper gave all the details about the Russian dossier on his program. Up until that point, it was something that people whispered about in Washington, D.C., but nobody would write anything about it.
Yeah.
When it was discovered that the Russian dossier was a complete and total fabrication and a hoax, do you know what Jake Tapper claimed with regard to his award-winning report? He said, hey, I never reported that anything in the dossier was true. I just reported that it existed. I reported that the FBI director briefed Trump on it. You don't think that's newsworthy? You don't think it's newsworthy that the FBI director briefed the president-elect on the existence of this dossier? That's all I reported. I never put my name or my company's brand on the line saying that the details and the contents of this thing. This is the exact same thing they did with the dossier. They report the thing as if all of the content, they report the intelligence assessment as if it is true. And then when it turns out not to be true, they said, hey, we didn't say it was true. We just said that it existed. Yeah. This is an unbelievable breach of any kind of journalistic ethics. And they claim they're the real journalists.
And meanwhile, ignoring one of the biggest stories, the cognitive decline of a sitting president, the passing of the auto pen key to unelected officials in the White House. Yeah. And then he writes a book about that isn't a story, right. How he missed that story. Like, it's amazing the selectivity with which Jake misses certain stories and reports on other stories. Just interesting, isn't it, Larry?
Funny you should say that. This is Jake Tapper, the man who defended his horrible journalism because it undermined Donald Trump and basically crippled his first term. That same Jake Tapper who missed the Biden story, he said this yesterday, defending CNN's reporting. Cut 14.
Asking questions is literally our job. Demanding facts and answers, instead of just taking a president's word for it.
Sorry, wait a minute. So he's saying, hey, this is our job. We're not just supposed to take a president's word for it. Remember when Joe Biden would constantly say, I'm fine. Look at me. Just watch me. Just watch me out there. I'm fine. I'm
good enough for me. Good enough for Jake.
No follow-up needed there. Suddenly, it's Jake Tapper's job to not take a president's word for it. 12 months ago, that's all Jake Tapper was doing. It's just glorious. And he makes millions. And CNN will stand by him. And God bless him for doing so as they completely circle down the drain of what used to be a fine and reputable television network. It's 6:24.
Coming up, we're going to talk to Lucas Rand. He's running in that special election in Virginia after Gerald Connolly's death. He is a decorated Army vet. We'll talk to him. Keep it here. It's 6:30.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 6:37 on O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in here. It's our Thursday morning extravaganza. Coming up at 7:05, Dan Schneider, MRC, on the latest with regard to NPR's defunding. 7:35, Bethany Mandel just came up on the winning side of a Montgomery County lawsuit. 8:05, Katie McFarland, and then at 8:35, Miranda Devine on her scoop regarding the illegal immigrant children who have been rescued by ICE so far in the last few months. It's Larry O'Connor with Julie Gunlock. Julie, we were just kind of hard on Jake Tapper, and I want to make sure that the record is complete here. I left something out, and I want to be fair to Jake and to CNN. I forgot to mention that CNN was just successfully sued for defamation for lying about a Navy veteran and his efforts in rescuing people in Afghanistan. And that false report that cost CNN millions of dollars in a defamation settlement, that appeared on Jake Tapper's program.
Wow.
I left that out. And I didn't mean to leave it out. I just want to make sure that the record is complete. Joining us right now, Lucas Rand. He's running for the Republican nomination in that special election in Virginia 11. Just met him the other night at a candidates forum we had in Fairfax on Monday. Lucas Rand, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks, Larry. Good morning, and thanks for having me on.
Well, listen, you're an impressive guy with an impressive resume. Let our listeners know a little bit, because this is this very special Firehouse primary. It's one day only this Saturday at the Fairfax High School. There's early voting on Friday. I want them to know who you are so that they can make a good evaluation of the candidates.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Larry. So, I mean, like many of the candidates, I came from a background of service. My grandfather was a Marine in World War II. My father was in the Navy in Vietnam. I have a brother who's been in every three-letter agency you can think of. I have a sister who served in the Army. And then me, myself, I served 20 years in the United States Army. I'm a decorated combat veteran with multiple deployments. And so I've really lived my life of service. When I retired 2 years ago and I was talking to my wife about what was going to come next, I ended up choosing healthcare because I wanted my career field to be something about bringing those around me up where the product is making people better. And then when Jerry Connolly announced that he wasn't running, I started talking to my family and some of our friends because it was an opportunity to do greater good for a larger amount of people and really do things like protecting girls' sports for my two daughters so that they're not playing on a field against some boys that are confused about who they are. So I think it's important that we get somebody with integrity, with common sense to represent District 11, and that's what I want to do.
Well, I was impressed by all the candidates, Lucas. I want to say what specifically impressed me about you is, first of all, you have a good understanding of who the Democrat nominee is, and it looks like you have a pretty good strategy to go after him because he's going to be the favorite, obviously. He was Connolly's handpicked successor. But secondly, you boiled down your agenda in this campaign to 3 major issues that you will focus on that I think could be quite effective against the Democrat nominee. Could you repeat those for our listeners so they know exactly what your strategy is going to be, not just in campaigning and winning votes, but also once you get into office, what you're going to do?
Yeah, and thanks for asking that. It was really important to me throughout this process going up to this canvas. I tended to talk a lot less about myself, but how I thought we could win this election in September. And the beauty of this election, with it being a special election, there's only going to be 2 people on the ballot. So God willing, it'll be Lucas Rand versus James Walkinshaw. And that lets us really hold him accountable for all of his actions. And so the way I think that we can win is, while it doesn't change all of the values we have, focusing the campaign on, like you said, those 3 specific issues that really impact all of the constituents of District 11, that can bring some of the moderates over, that can bring back the disenfranchised Republican back to the party. And so the first one is taxes. And I think that it's important that we start on day one holding James accountable for all of the tax increases he voted for, the bag tax, the vehicle tax, the property tax, but most importantly, the food and beverage tax. And what makes that one stand out so much is that it has been on the ballot in Northern Virginia twice, and it has gotten widespread voted down between Democrats and Republicans twice, but he still voted to pass it. And somebody really needs to ask him why. And that needs to be a crux of it, because if James Walkinshaw goes into Congress, he is not going to represent District 11. He is going to represent the interests of the Democratic Party, and he has demonstrated that to us with his time as the Braddock County supervisor. The second thing, did you want to ask something?
No, go on.
Yeah. The second thing is the Parental Bill of Rights. So for those of your listeners that might not know, there's a piece of legislation working its way through Congress right now that is sponsored by Representative Julie Letlow. And what this does is it codifies the parents' rights to know what's on the curriculum in their kids' schools. It codifies their right to meet with the teachers. And so when you combine this with school choice, it gives parents the ability to make informed decisions about where their children go to school. I'll tell you, my 2 young girls right now, I send them to Catholic school, not just because of our faith, but because I don't want them exposed to the ideologies that's going on in the public school system right now.
Yeah. Lucas, I want to pause on that second one because we want to get as much in here as we can in our short time. Go ahead, Julie.
Just really quickly, you're a hospital administrator now, which I find fascinating, particularly post-COVID. In this area, and you are a hospital administrator, the hospitals were terrible to people during COVID. Banning parent or, certain family members, only one person can go into a dying person's room, all this stuff. I mean, it was terrible, and it lingered, particularly in the Northern Virginia area. If you get elected to Congress more on a national scale, is this something that you would pursue, getting a position on one of the committees that oversees HHS, or what are your thoughts on working on healthcare if you're elected to Congress?
I mean, I'm going to be honored to work on any committee that I can get on. I'll be honest, HHS is not the one that I would be targeting. Really, I would be targeting working with Representative Bost for the veterans. And then I would be targeting for education, and then I would also for anything for the military. Now, as far as the hospital administration and the COVID, our country learned a lot during this whole pandemic era. I think that we should absolutely put some measures in place so that we are better prepared if and when anything like this should happen again.
Great.
Lucas Rand, we got to leave it there. He's a decorated Army vet. He's running for your vote. Again, the special election details and the special primary this Friday and Saturday. Friday at the Government Building, Saturday at the Fairfax High School. Get more information on Mr. Rand at lucasrand.com. Sir, we're out of time. Great meeting you the other night. Great talking with you, and good luck on Saturday.
Thanks, Larry. And if I could just say, we need a new candidate for a new outcome.
Oh, I like that. New candidate, new outcome. Yeah, let's do that. I said it before. Wouldn't it be great for this president right now to have a representative in Virginia 11 that he can actually work with instead of a Democrat who's just going to immediately go to war with him? The people of Virginia 11 would actually be pretty well served with that scenario. It's 6:45.
Do we give money to Fox?
No.
Do we give money to Politico?
No.
Then why are we giving money to public broadcasting? Why? We're $36 trillion in the hole.
Senator John Kennedy, Louisiana, asking some pretty pertinent questions there when it comes to the recession package that was sent to Congress by OMB Director Russ Vought. We've got Dan Schneider from MRC joining us at 7:05 to discuss the details of this. Russ Vought was great. And, of course, a big part of the recession package is defunding NPR. Why are we giving money to them, John Kennedy asked. And he also asked this. Listen.
You're getting rid of $5.5 million to lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and intersex advocacy in Uganda, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
I can't believe we're arguing about this. Pet Ford, we're not denying life-saving care to anybody, are we?
No, and $10 billion would remain for that funding.
This is my favorite part. Why are we even arguing about this? Well, I'll tell you why. Susan Collins, that's why, and Lisa Murkowski, and maybe a couple of other senators. We will fight. But I do. Don't you love it when John Kennedy sort of channels us?
I love John Kennedy so much. He is by far the funniest member. But I also love how Russ Vought is just like, yes.
Yep. He did. Russ is the man, and he's focused, and he's getting it done. All right, Dan Schneider, MRC, joining us in just about 20 minutes on this. All right, coming up, we're going to talk to Dan Schneider of Media Research Center on the defunding effort for NPR. Plus, Bethany Mandel, Montgomery County Public Schools settled a lawsuit